called the Ailes House. It's on 213th Street. It's right behind the Rite Aid on Bell Boulevard. It's the last remaining Bell home. It was built by the Bell family in the 1870s. It's up for calendaring. Tony Avella introduced it to the, and we supported it, Bayside Historical Society supported it, to the Landmarks Preservation Commission to have it landmarked. And it's calendared, which means it can be landmarked as soon as the LDC actually says yes to it. But there's an unwritten law in the City Council that basically if your council member does not support a landmarking, then it does not get landmarked. My question to you, now this building, just for the record, was supported by Senator Vella. We had letters of support from Helen Marshall, from, was it Bronstein at the time, or was it Bronstein? We had wide support, the community supported it, we had very widespread support. Point is, I'm a homeowner myself. I don't want somebody telling me that my house is going to be landmarked if it's not worthy. But sometimes you have a special building that is worthy of it. So it's really a simple yes or no. If you become councilman, would you support not only that one, but the similar cases where there's widespread support in the community against owner opposition? Would you support a landmark?
Well, yes. As a homeowner, I understand your sentiment of saying, I don't want someone telling me what to do with my home. But this is not that case. You knowingly bought this house with this history. So you can't be surprised when someone says, hey, we want to save it. You know, if this was a house that's built 20 years ago and, you know, I had no idea, that's different. This person bought this house, yes, I would definitely support that.
On that one, I agree with Paul. There's two separate questions. The first question about this building, from everything I know, yes, obviously I'm going to look on a case-by-case basis, but I'm also going to be referring to experts like Paul Graziano, Paul Benedetto, Henry Euler, and if you're for this, I would assume that I would, and if Senator Vella is for it, I'd assume that I would be for it. The broader issue that you referred to there, I just want to clarify, at the previous discussion that Paul was not at before the primary, as you know, Paul Graziano and I engaged in a discussion, a debate, a respectful debate about majority rule in landmarking of homes, of residential homes. And I have stated, and Paul and I will continue to disagree on this one, that I will not support landmarking of a residential district of single-family homes without majority support from the homeowners. But it's very different when you talk about a building. That's exactly what landmarking was historically about, to take buildings and place, because of the community interest in preservation, place a restriction on them that is a restriction on those property owners' rights. And it would completely gut the very idea of landmarking to say that the owner of the building has a veto. So I want to clarify that my respectful disagreement with Paul, who has endorsed me on majority rule for residential landmarking, has absolutely no bearing on the Alewife building or other such multi-unit or commercial buildings.
Thank you, Dennis. Time for one more question, because the candidates have to appear at two other functions tonight. So we'll have one more question, and then we'll have a closing statement from each, if that's okay with them. And we want to ask you something about schools, about local schools. Do you favor the construction of a new primary school on the Kyle property in Bayside? Do you support the return of PS 130 to District 26 for use by children living around the school, instead of having them bused to overcrowded schools in the district? And how would you handle the issue of overcrowded high schools in Council District 19? There's three questions in one. We'll start with Dennis.
The first two are easy, no and yes. I don't support the Kyle Brothers site, and I understand that we need new schools and that nobody wants a school in their backyard. We have two disputes going on in our district now, and I really do believe that in both of these locations, both Kyle Brothers and the possible Whitestone High School, it's not even a proposal. Apparently FCA looked at the site. They are totally inappropriate sites, so I would join the community in opposing them. 130 should simply be for students. It's in District 26. It should be for students in District 26. How you handle the issue of what we do, how we balance community opposition, that nobody wants a school near them, and yet everybody wants more schools. I'm not going to pretend to have the answer, as I said here in August, and anyone who tells you they pretend to have the answer is not telling the truth. We look at this on a case-by-case basis. We sit down with members of the community, and I did that, by the way, on the Whitestone School site. While I came out strongly against it, I didn't just immediately politicize it like my opponent did. I had some tough questions of the community leaders who brought it to my attention. Where are you going to put a school? What are your alternatives? I think a true leader has to do that. But I was convinced that this is an inappropriate site, and so I joined and stood behind the Whitestone Civic Association, which is opposing this. And I am doing my small part to help their petition against that school, which they put up as an alternative because the Paul Balone campaign started politicizing the issue and circulating its own petition. I'm standing behind the community group, but I don't have a complete answer on balancing these two things. It's an inherent trade-off.
Thank you, Dennis. Paul?
Well, since it's the closing, I want to say thank you to Henry, everyone, and also thanking you for letting me miss the last meeting, which Dennis has brought up twice. Judge Joseph Reese died on the meeting that we had in the primary night, so I appreciate Henry letting me acknowledge that death so I could be with the family. This is a very difficult question, and why is everyone upset? People are upset because the city comes in, here, School Construction Authority, and tells us this table is going to be the site. And there's not much you can tell us what you're going to do. You can maybe put that chair there, you can put this lot of water there, but there's going to be a school site here. That's what happened to Kyle Brothers, and the opposition there is not being heard. The community is not being heard. It might even go for a vote next month. So before either one of us winds up in City Hall, we might end up winding up at school that we didn't want. The Whitestone site is very different. Community ladies came together, and this is the 150th Street and 5th Avenue down the Jewel property, and said the SBA has started surveying the land, which is true. That's the first step. So what did we do? When you get together with people in the community, and you get 1,500 petitions in 10 days, that's called uniting a district. Then you take those petitions and you bring them down to the School Construction Authority, whose boss is Lorraine Grillo, by the way. We had a private meeting where we delivered the petitions, and we had Manhattan council members, Dan Garodnick, the entire Queens council members. We had our next borough president, Melinda Katz, all come on board to say the entire community is against this school. Lorraine Grillo has promised 99.9% to stop that school, and she's also looking now at St. Fidelis, an existing school that's closed, to meet the needs of College Point and Whitestone and not affect because it's an existing school. That's how you bring conversation and dialogue to a process. Not by standing on the corner and screaming, but by getting something done, by getting petitions, by getting the community heard. Now, this process is never going to be a good one, but none of us know the sites the city has chosen. And that would be a real big help. What does the SBA, the School Construction Authority, have on its magic list of school sites that are planned for our district, or any district? So we can have our community boards to get involved, our local leaders to get involved, say, you know what, this one's not going to work, this one may work, let's talk about public transportation, let's talk about infrastructure, let's talk about safety of the children and the teachers, but there's no dialogue at all. So I want to say thank you to everyone. Dennis and I are going to see each other in 5 minutes and then in 45 minutes. And at any time you need us to get back, it's always an honor to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Dennis, for coming tonight. Our borough president came to see us soon, so stick around and good luck to you guys on the campaign.